Let's move on then to the Buffalo City Metro in the Eastern Cape. It's working around the clock to ensure that the funeral of 21 people who died at Enyobeni Tavern runs smoothly. The funeral service is scheduled for Wednesday. Officials from the Metro and the Eastern Cape Liquor Board are also conducting site visits at liquor outlets in Scenery Park in East London to check compliance. Our senior reporter Chriselda Lewis is in East London for us. Chriselda, very good afternoon to you. I do believe that you will be in conversation with the chairperson of the Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Enyobeni. But over and above that, take us through, what's happening in the Eastern Cape. I mean, it really must be quite a depressing kind of situation, just bearing in mind, the grief of 21 young people at Enyobeni Tavern.
Well, that's right, Flo. There have been quite a number of stakeholders that have been coming around this area here in Scenery Park, to try and find, a lasting solution to what we've heard about in terms of the societal ills in this area, which are not very different, Flo, to what you would see in other areas around the country, but certainly brought to light by this tragedy at the Enyobeni Tavern here in Scenery Park. What was happening just a few moments ago, Flo, was that members of the portfolio committee, as you indicated, of women, youth and persons with disabilities has been meeting with families that are putting, final touches to what is expected to be that mass burial, which will take place on Wednesday. But what we do know is that perhaps not all the families might participate in that mass burial. What I do know is that there might be some other family members who might decide to bury over the weekend as well. What we also know is that the post-mortems themselves have not been concluded yet. The police that I spoke to just a few moments ago have indicated that they might give the media an update tomorrow in terms of what the way forward is. The scene itself is not active yet, is not active still. It's been handed over to the owners of that tavern. It is not in operation at the moment, as you would know, but we're expecting to hear from police perhaps tomorrow on what the latest is, because that concluded investigations there, and they were expecting then to give an update in terms of how far their investigations are into this particular matter. But what is quite shocking, Flo, is that in a few moments ago, speaking to the chairperson of that portfolio committee, who I will speak to in just a moment, I'm hearing from her that there are about 1,000 taverns that are in Buffalo City, and there are only 2 inspectors that will be responsible for 1,000 of those taverns. I want to elaborate a bit more on this, and I want to bring in the chairperson of that portfolio committee, Thank you very much indeed, ma'am, for your time. Quite shocking what you have found, chairperson. 1,000 taverns with just 2 inspectors. Are you able to tell us more?
No, Chriselda, I think that's what we were told today, that here there is 1,000 taverns, of which we are not sure whether all those taverns are licensed or not, or unlicensed. So, but tomorrow we are going to have another meeting with the SABC and the Liquor Board, so that they can be able to explain to us that whether those 1,000 taverns are licensed and what criteria and what are the requirements of them giving licenses to the tavern owners. So those are some of the things that we have find in this area. But what is worrying the portfolio committee mostly is that when we were listening to the families today, they were telling us that that tavern where the tragic incident has happened, there is only one door to that is for the entrance for the incoming people and for people to go out. So it's a very sad situation. We don't know how did the Liquor Board gave a license on that the owners of that tavern, and how does the municipality also has a responsibility to play in terms of ensuring that they do implement their bylaws, because it can be correct that there's a tavern in an area and the municipality does not even know whether that tavern is legally or not illegal. So I think those are some of the things that we have found when we're doing our own oversight in this area.
What else have you picked up? Chairperson, I'm sure, many people have spoken about societal ills. We're talking about very young people here who were, in a place where they were not supposed to be. Perhaps, society has been having this conversation about whether there is something wrong. What is it that needs to happen? What can you do as Parliament's Portfolio Committee to ensure that this does not happen again?
Yeah, I think one of the issues that as the Portfolio Committee that we saw it very unusual is that when we're driving in this area, we have saw this is an area where they have shacks, and there is high rate of unemployment, and especially for youth. Hence, as the Portfolio Committee, what we have done through our research team, we did get a paper from our researchers to say there is no spot. So maybe that's one part that contributes to young people entertaining themselves with alcohol. So we have brought in NYDA, as you can see that I'm with the chairperson of NYDA here, because NYDA is responsible also for youth development. So I think moving forward, the interventions that we are going to make as the Portfolio Committee is to have a meeting with other departments so that we can find a way on how then do we assist young people here in this area so that they can move out from socializing with alcohol and try and find other things that they can do so that our young people can have a future. Because this thing of our young people socializing with alcohol, it's not correct. But I'm sure the other thing that communities were raising with us is the age, which is legislated in terms of young people can drink from the age of 18. And in 2018 there was a bill that was introduced in Parliament, which was going to amend the age limit of young people in terms of alcohol. Yeah. But I'm sure when we go back to Parliament, we'll have to meet with the Portfolio Committee of Trade and Industry and Competition, so that we can see how far are they with that bill. Yeah.
Chairperson, who should be held to account? I mean, you are sitting at one of the highest echelons within this country in Parliament. Who should be held to account for what happened? We can sit here and talk about the families. We can talk and have meetings. Who must be held to account for what happened there? 21 young people gone. Just like that, we're talking about bills, we're talking about underage drinking, we're talking about socialization when it comes to alcohol. Who should be held to account? Parliament should say something. What do you say?
Yeah, I think, it's not one person that needs to account. One, the owner of the tavern must account on what exactly transpired in his tavern. Two, the liquor board must account. Three, SAPS must also account. Because, when we're listening to some of the families when they were sharing the stories with us, is that at some point they were trying to call the police and the police did not show up. So we need to get to the gist of the matter. It cannot be correct that 21 teenagers died in a tavern and nobody is held accountable. But also the municipality needs to account, because in terms of enforcing and implementing the bylaws. Because it is their responsibility that bylaws are being implemented by each and everyone. So if they are not...
But perhaps, Chair, that is the problem. you can sit in Parliament and come up with all the measures necessary to ensure that various sectors of society, that there's proper governance and proper legislation, but it's clearly not being implemented. 21 young children are dead.
Yeah, I think you are correct, Chriselda. Somebody, one way or the other, needs to account. But everybody has got a responsibility. Even, we were saying when we were discussing with the families also that even the neighbors. One other thing that they have raised with us is that neighbors have been raising this issue. They've been complaining about this tavern. And even some areas, this is not the only tavern that is here. Yeah. There are other taverns which they say the police station, they've been reporting and nothing has been done. Yeah. But tomorrow, I'm sure we'll get answers from the police on why are they not attending to the issues that the communities have been reporting to them.
Yeah. Chair, thank you very much. I want to bring in very quickly, just bear with me there, Flo, the chairperson of the NYDA, Asanda Luwaka. You're quite new in this position, but there are many challenges that young people are facing, Asanda. What are you doing as the NYDA, not just to ensure that you're just there as a body, having a say on young... This is a tragedy, and the NYDA should be taking some sort of center stage in terms of how do young people get out of the challenges that they see themselves in, where the chairperson of the portfolio committee says it's socialization. Every weekend there's no activities. Young people are drinking.
No, thank you very much, Chriselda. And indeed, we are a new board, fairly recently appointed by the president. So at the level of, the NYDA, one, this is a grave travesty and it's something that should not have happened, for start. But secondly, I think the issue around, what are the various socioeconomic issues that are at play here is fundamental. And so at our level, it's to ensure that how do we rope in arts and culture, to establish, recreational centers for young people. How do we also at our level ensure that we upscale, the youth in the area insofar as, business opportunities, work opportunities, as well as educational opportunities. That's, the core mandate and some of, the core activities that we are implementing.
Asanda, even before your tenure, this is a conversation that has been had about establishing recreational facilities for young people to occupy their time with something else. That has not happened. It has not happened. What's different? What are you bringing to the table?
So it hasn't happened, fair, but I think, even you would know that, at the level of the NYDA, we wouldn't necessarily be the ones that implement. However, it's because we are positioned where we are able to, be that mouthpiece for young people to say, we were invited by the portfolio committee, we conducted our oversight visits, this is what we found, there's inactivity of youth, hence, the high prevalence of, substance and drug abuse. So at that level, that then becomes a foundation of which we can lobby and engage, because we serve as a lobby and advocacy body for young people. So we're supposed to be able to liaise with the various departments to say, come on board, let's establish something, collectively, let's just see what can be done.
Asanda, thank you very much indeed. The chairperson of the National Youth Development, Sisi, bendicela usondele kancinci. Flo, bear with me. I'm just going to speak to one of the family members as well. It's been over a week now. Mama, enkosi kakhulu ngexesha lakho Sisi. Besicela nje usiphe igama nefani nokuthi ulahlekelwe ngubani kuyo yonke le tragedy siswam, sithi dudukuni niyifamily.
Mona Sisi, igama lami Ndungululeka Bekiso. I've lost my brother. He's my brother that he passed away in that tavern. The time kusenzeka lento, we were at home, but we received a call that we must go there and fetch my brother in the tavern. Then we went there, me and my parents. When we arrived there was no police outside, but they were still chaotic outside. Then I forced myself to get inside because I want to fetch my brother inside. Then I went upstairs. When I arrived upstairs, I saw many bodies lying down. When I look at them, I saw them that they are gone. But others, they were still drinking, standing. Then I went downstairs again to check my brother because I didn't see to the Zulu. Then 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 I check him there. I saw many bodies lying down. Others they were still drinking. Then I asked them, please guys, help people, because I saw the others, they were still unconscious. Others, when I look at them, they were passed away. Then I went outside. Unfortunately, my father was already taking my brother. Sahamba, so then we take my brother to the hospital. Then when we were there, then the doctors tells us that my brother passed away. So my heart is still so painful. We want to know what happened in there, why my brother died, what is the cause of the death. Thank you.
Ngisabhlungu kakhulu sisi, ndiyabona nje kubhlungu
tata abakabikho right, bayagula iyayibuyela lento. Asikwazi ulala, we can't even sleep, and I even dream bad dreams, and yes, andonakele.
Ningafuna ubona ntoni nina njengeyifamily sisi wami kuyo yonke lento, mhlambi kubekho umuntu ozawuphendula kuyo yonke lento nje? Baninzi abantwana abasishileyo.
Sifuna ukwazi thina sisi bakwenzeke ntoni ngalamini, and abantwana babulawe intoni. Sifuna ukwazi njalo uba yintoni eyenzekileyo sizoxola nathi.
Ubuthe ubhuti wakho bengubani kanene nefani yakhona?
My brother ngulungile Bhekiso. Mina 16 years. Bhekiso.
Okay. Sisi nizawuqhubeka ke ngoku nale mass burial ezoba khona, nizifamilies nonelisekile nje mhlambi ngalento ethethwayo ngokuba maqhutyekwe ke ngoku? Yes ma.
Yes. Sifuna ku-investigate kwaziwe uba kwenzeke ntoni, what happened that day, why abantwana beswelekile, kwenzeke ntoni, into lebayiselileyo, because uthi ugqirha yena yi-poison, but we want to know what kind of a poison is enobulala abantwana abangakayana.
Nina sisi nixelelwe ngugqirha ba ibi-poison?
But akasixelanga what kind of a poison is, but uthe kuthi uyi-poison le ibulele umntana, and uyabona uba ebewile from upstairs.
Sisi enkosi kakhulu mama, bendicela undimele nje kancinci apha ndizawuphinde ndibuyele kuwe. Just one of the family members there, Flo, talking to us about how difficult it has been over the past couple of days. She lost her brother in this tragedy here. She says her 16-year-old brother, by the time they got to the hospital, she says she had pushed her way through the had basically pushed her way through the tavern itself. And, you know, these families still very much inconsolable at this particular stage. You know, Flo, we had landed in East London together with my colleague Chilo Munare just shortly after 1 o'clock this afternoon. And we came straight through here because we understood there was a meeting that was going to take place. And it's still very fresh for these families. Everyone is just shocked at what has taken place. And I think the next couple of hours and even the next couple of days leading up to Wednesday, of course, when this mass burial is expected to take place, these families have not yet healed. They want answers in terms of what has happened to their loved ones. Speaking to this family member, she says doctors had basically said that their, her brother had been killed by poison, but they don't know what poison exactly it is. I'm sure we'll hear from police. We know the postmortems have not yet been concluded. We will hear from police in the next couple of hours, if not tomorrow, Flo, where they will give us an indication of exactly what it is they know now. Of course, the scene itself has been handed over or back to the owners of the tavern. It is not operating at this particular stage, but these are families and different sectors of society that are calling for action. They want someone to be held to account for what has taken place. Flo, I'm going to leave it there for just a moment. There's also a night vigil, one of many that is taking place in this area tonight. We understand the ANC Youth League will be having a memorial service or a night vigil, if I may, in the next couple of moments. I'll be live to you there in just the next couple of hours. Stay with us here on SABC News.
Right, thanks very much, Chriselda Lewis, there for that comprehensive reporting. She is indeed in East London for us, where, of course, preparations are taking place for the mass funeral of the 21 young people who died at Enyobeni Tavern. Very sad indeed. Chriselda managing to speak to the older sister of one of the young deceased there, as well as speaking to the chairperson of the Women, Youth and People with Disabilities chairperson, Nontantla Ngcobe, as well as the NYDA chairperson.